My goodness, I missed you guys. It's season 4 of Centrally Speaking.
Centrally Speaking, the program that keeps you informed on the work of Jamaica's central bank, Bank of Jamaica. I'm Sheena.
And I'm Anna. And we are so happy to be back with all our regular viewers again.
Yes, we hope you have been keeping safe during this pandemic. Anna,
Yes.
we are finally getting used to this upheaval that is called the pandemic.
Yeah, you used to it?
Yeah, well...
Me tired.
Yeah.
Free me want it free up now.
Yes. We have a great show lined up for you. We have 2 very special guests. Dr. Wayne Robinson, Senior Deputy Governor, who is no stranger to Centrally Speaking, and Dr. Novelette Panton, Division Chief with responsibility for financial market infrastructure, both officers from Bank of Jamaica.
So Doctors Robinson and Panton will tell us about the origin, the role, the functions of Bank of Jamaica. It's a different kind of program this week, a little bit more than you're accustomed.
Dr. Novelette Panton has served in many capacities at the Central Bank, her current being Division Chief Financial Market Infrastructure. In other words, she ensures that all our payment infrastructures are safe, efficient, and reliable, and that there is effective oversight and regulation of Cambio remittance business. So you've gotten to know more about our guests, but now it's time to find out how much you know about the history of the Central Bank.
In what year did Jamaica change from pounds, shillings, and pence to dollars and cents?
I would say 1962.
1960.
In 1962.
1969.
D, 1969.
I really guess 1962 because that's the year we gained independence.
1969. 1962? I'm not sure. 1962.
We're here to open a savings account for my son John. I really want him to start saving and managing his own money.
And I need for Safe to visit my father in New York.
Okay, based on what you said and our risk assessment, he will qualify for simplified customer due diligence requirements. I'll need your ID, proof of income, TRN, and John's ID as well.
Okay, here you go.
Opening an account is easier than you think using simplified customer due diligence requirements, also called CDD.
Watching Centrally Speaking, and we are joined by Dr. Wayne Robinson, Senior Deputy Governor, and Dr. Novelette Panton, Division Chief with responsibility for financial market infrastructure, both from Bank of Jamaica. Welcome, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you, Sheena. Thank you, Anna. It's great to be back. I always look forward to sharing with you and our viewers.
And I'm glad you got a guest this week.
Yes.
You brought somebody new.
Of course.
So, Dr. Panton, we always ask this question.
Wow.
Yes. So welcome to the set. It's your first time gracing us with your presence. Tell us a little bit about you, and we want to know specifically which parish are you repping, and
what high school?
What high school did you attend?
I'm from Kingston.
Under the clock.
Under the clock.
Right.
Actually, my baby days spent in Woodford Park.
Yeah.
My other years mainly in Portmore, St. Catherine. And of course, I'm a Woolmerian.
Ah,
So
two Woolmerians.
Yes.
Great woman.
What can we say?
That's why I read today.
So you're repping your school today?
Yes,
but that's maroon.
Maroon. Oh, maroon and gold are colors.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so Dr. Rob, why was Bank of Jamaica established, and what was the need at the time?
Bank of Jamaica was established with the passage of the Bank of Jamaica Act in 1960. And we opened our doors in May 1961. The establishment of the bank was a part of the preparation of the institutions for Jamaica going into independence. Right. Independence, as you will appreciate, means that the fortunes of our economy depends on us Jamaicans. And those fortunes critically depend on how we manage our monetary affairs, and those fortunes also depend on the development of our financial systems.
Right.
So our forefathers realized at that time that the currency board system, which existed from 1939, could not adequately meet the development needs of a young nation.
Okay.
And in that context, the Bank of Jamaica was born.
Okay.
It's instructive to note, though, that our forefathers, they were very careful in crafting the Bank of Jamaica Act, and they set out critically the role that Bank of Jamaica would play in this new development thrust. And this include, for example, the fostering of the development of the money and capital market.
Okay.
And also, and I'm paraphrasing the act here,
Yes.
and also the maintenance of monetary stability that is consistent with the promotion of maximum growth and employment in the economy.
Based on what Dr. Robinson just said, it was quite a period of transition, a lot of changes. What were the significant changes in terms of our financial affairs?
The currency board was replaced by the Bank of Jamaica as we know it in 1961. And in May of that same year, May 1961, we issued our own, notes. We were able to issue 5 shillings, 10 shillings, £1, £5 notes. And when I speak of pound here, let me quickly say I'm not speaking about the British pound. I'm speaking about the Jamaican pound. So we are issuing our own pound by then, and then later on we were issuing on September 8th, to be exact, in 1969, we issued dollars and cents. And that was a real proud moment for us in Jamaica. And we were proud because as Jamaicans, guess what? We were no longer putting the portrait of Queen Elizabeth on our notes, but we had our own national heroes on our notes.
All right. Who were the key people involved in that period of transition just before we entered independence?
The process was led then by the Premier, it was the Right Honourable Norman Manley. But the person who really drove this initiative was the then Minister of Finance, the Honourable Noel Nethersole, who served from 1955 to 1959. Unfortunately, he died before the passage of the Bank of Jamaica Act. But because of his contribution, we consider him to be the father of the bank. And the statue that you actually see at the front of the bank is his statue.
And the street on which BOJ
and
our address.
And our address, the location, Nethersole Place. It was named after Noel Nethersole.
Dr. Panton, I heard that was specifically designed for the central bank. You want to tell us a little bit about the history of that location?
Yes, certainly, Sheena. Yes, some persons may not know this, but the Bank of Jamaica's location has not always been at the bottom of East Street, right by the sea. Prior to that, we were at King Street. There's these buildings that are called the public buildings. These are called the public buildings, and we're exactly at the corner of King and Tower Street. Later, the bank moved to Nethersole Place. And at Nethersole Place, this is where we actually reclaimed land to build the central bank. We have to give kudos to the architects. These were Rakowski, Bradford, and Partner, because they built, they built the bank for not only for its beauty, but for its purpose.
It really is a beautiful building, quite imposing on the waterfront, coming up those steps. Right, so let me ask you both, beginning with you, Dr. Panton, what was your most memorable, or have been your most memorable experience at the bank so far?
Wow, there are so many. But for someone who is working in the financial market infrastructure area, I can recall when we had the move to modernize the payment system, payment and settlement system, and we implemented the JamClear RTGS real-time gross settlement system in 2009. That was big.
Yeah, that was big.
I also recall.
Thank you for that, by the way. Money
that
come
was
quick. Money come quick, you know what I mean?
On time, within 2 hours. On time. I also can recall the Bank of Jamaica facilitating the 2 big debt exchange program in 2010 and 2013. I also recall JDX and NDX.
Right, yes.
I also recall, which this is just recent memory, and December 2021, when we successfully implemented or completed, I should say, our CBDC pilot. That was a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Then we were speaking about the building, and I recall that we have withstood a number of hurricanes and earthquakes in that building. I recall in one earthquake, the building just swung a little. Good for the engineers, but also we give thanks that we were all okay for that. Very importantly for me was my recollection of the first day I walked up those imposing steps of Bank of Jamaica. And I would not have thought or envisioned that many, many moons later, I'll be here speaking about the Bank of Jamaica, that great place to work.
How much moon?
Plenty moons. They won't share that. Plenty moons.
So, Dr. Rob, would you like to tell us about your experience with the Bank of Jamaica as a young economist?
Okay, Sheena. By the way, Sheena, I'm still a young
What's
economist.
A younger
A younger,
one.
right, better. But before that, can I share a little secret?
Yes.
Dr. Panton here is also a trained economist.
Okay.
And we work together.
We work together many years.
Many years.
Now I see why you brought her on.
But you know, Sheena, when I joined the bank, I didn't join as an economist. I started in IT. Yes. But as I began to learn more about the bank and what the bank does, I became interested in economics, and I got hooked to economics.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Yes.
You got hooked.
Yes, so as a young economist, and I know Novelette will join me in this, one of the things we have benefited from is that over the years we have had very strong economists in the bank who have mentored us as young economists. I'm talking about people like Colin Bullock, for whom a scholarship is named in his honor. Talking about people like Derek Latibadir. I'm talking about people like John Robinson, who's a former senior deputy governor. So we had that guidance, which helped our development to try and make the transition from economic theory to practical economics. And you know, I always say, for a young economist, Bank of Jamaica is the best place to learn your craft.
All right, so now that you've mentioned that, I want you to tell us a little bit about who was the first Bank of Jamaica governor. We know that the current governor is Richard Biles, affectionately known as Richie B. So we hear.
Yes.
So
Govy.
So tell us a little bit about who was the first governor for the Central Bank of Jamaica.
Well, Sheena, the first governor was Stanley Panton. He served from 1960 to 1964. But I should also mention, Sheena, one of Jamaica's most outstanding public servant, who was a governor, G. Arthur Brown. He served in 2 terms, from 1967 to 1977 and 1989 to 1992. And we actually have a scholarship that is named in his honor as well, in recognition of the service he has not only given to Bank of Jamaica, but Jamaica as a whole.
Dr. Wade, Dr. Panton, so much history to be explored, but we don't have the time today. But allow us to introduce a new feature. It's the question of the week from a student. This week's question is from Miguel Simpson. He's a student at the St. Elizabeth Technical High School. He has 2 questions for our guests. Let's listen to Miguel.
Thank you, BOJ, for this opportunity. With regards to the unexpected increase in inflation of the Jamaican dollar to nearly 10% since the beginning of this year, was this always the case of paper to avoid a financial panic? And with the Jamaican economy emerging from the recent pandemic, what monetary policies does the Bank of Jamaica intend to put in place to enable a successful recovery? Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Great question. You know, for the past couple of years, Bank of Jamaica has maintained interest rates at a historic low level. Not only that, with the onset of the COVID crisis, the bank, in an effort to continue to promote growth and ensure that the economy weathered the pandemic, provided significant liquidity to the economy. But since the latter part of this year, there have been some significant changes as countries began to open up from the pandemic. We've seen significant rises in a number of goods and services that we actually import in Jamaica. And it's not only unique to Jamaica, but globally, where we've been seeing a significant rise in prices. And by that, significant inflation. And as Miguel said, right now we're looking at inflation a little bit under 10%. So what this means is that the bank has had to change its tack. It has had to pivot a little, because our mandate is, as you know, price stability. And it's important, therefore, that we adjusted our policy to deal with this significant inflation challenge. And it's important because no country can grow at any reasonable level for a sustained period if inflation is out of control. Also, bear in mind as well the impact that inflation has on all segments of the society, particularly the poor. Therefore, the bank has had to take strong action to deal with this inflation monster. We do expect that the economy will continue to recover. I mean, we have continued challenges, of course. What's happening now in Ukraine is a challenge, but we will manage through this period.
Very insightful interview today. Thank you so much to you both. Miguel, we want to thank you for that very useful question. Dr. Wayne Robinson, Dr. Novelette Panton, thank you so much for joining us to have this interview today.
It was our pleasure to be here.
It was a pleasure having you.
More on Centrally Speaking after the break.
Whether you're a small farmer, street vendor, big investor, every entrepreneur, you got to wise up about your money. You have to make sure say your money secure. When you need to grow, you have access to more.
Financial inclusion means that individuals and businesses have access to useful and affordable financial products and services that meet their needs.
Access to more money, more credit, whatever your business needs. When you work hard for your money must work for you.
Today's topic was all about the history of Bank of Jamaica. Let's recap the main points from the discussion. Number 1, Bank of Jamaica Act was established in October 1960. Number 2, the head of BOJ is the governor, assisted by the senior deputy governor and other deputy governors. Number 3, the first governor of the bank was Mr. Stanley Waldon Panton, and the first Jamaican governor was the Honorable G. Arthur Brown. Number 4, BOJ issued its first notes on May 1, 1961. The bank issued decimal currency notes, dollars and cents, on September 8, 1969. These were 50 cents, $1, $2, and $10 notes. And number 5, a 7-person board of directors has oversight for BOJ. The governor is the board chairman, and the current governor is Mr. Richard Biles. And that's it for the Fast Facts. Thanks for watching. That's it for our program this week.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Centrally Speaking. As to our new viewers, follow us on Twitter, Central Bank JA, or on Bank of Jamaica's Facebook page. And you can also visit the website at boj.org.jm.
We also invite you to send in your questions on Twitter or Facebook.
And of course, watch Centrally Speaking next week at the same time, right here on your station, when we'll discuss another important topic.
Thanks for watching. Centrally Speaking is a production of Bank of Jamaica.